Welcome, everybody, to the Onward VR Master League. We're here all day, apparently, bringing you this fantastic Onward action. My name is Noman with a 4, and I am joined now by NightFiree with 2 E's. How are you, NightFiree?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to the matchup today. It's a bit of a storied one and an interesting back and forth that I anticipate to be spectating here. It's going to be Raptors versus OJC, and I'm very interested to see what Raptors are going to bring to the table today.
Yeah, these are 2 very strong up-and-coming teams we've had our eye on for a season and change now. They've clashed before, I believe, in the postseason, but we have not seen a regular season match between the 2, if I'm not mistaken. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup. The connoisseur votes across these 2 teams was pretty even, so there's even a kind of a hot debate as to who's going to take the victory here. But definitely a match we wanted to bring you on this fine Saturday night, and we're going to get ourselves right on in to the bans. So let's take a look at what these teams have opted to get off the field. Raptors opting to ban Sand, and OJC taking Bazaar off the table. Either of those bans stand out to you, NightFiree?
You know, the Sand ban's a consistent one that we've been seeing pretty regularly, whether from what team seems to be the differing case there, but it's sand getting banned out nearly every league match. It seems like I very rarely see it getting played now, and I wonder if it's just because the map is so volatile. You know, there's potential to lose half your team in the first 20 seconds. It's a map that really rewards map knowledge in particular, and so I think maybe some teams tend to stay away from it because they're maybe not as practiced as they would like to be on. It is one of those new maps that we see in this rotating map pool that we have in Season 11, and so teams just tend to shy away from it. It does still leave USS Quest up on the table, which I'm interested to see if that does get picked up, because if you want to talk about a quick map, that one gets very fast, very quickly. But we're definitely not there. The first map is not going to be
No.
close quarters.
Yeah, it's not going to be the quickest of them all. Downfall being the first choice here. Raptors opting to pick that map. They will be starting on Marsoc for this series. And your thoughts on either of these teams on Downfall? I think I've only seen OJC play on it, but anything that you expect to see come out on the field between these teams?
No, if I'm remembering correctly, I think what it will come down to is what sort of attack styles we see. And this is something that I was sort of just thinking about as I was out catching some waves earlier today. But the splits are something that I want to start talking more about and focusing more as offenses roll out. Raptors, I think, have tended to be a 5-man group as they move up to attack. So I'm interested to see what kind of formation they break out here on Downfall. OJC, I can't really recall what their offensive style is, but it's going to be something I'm definitely going to be paying a lot of attention to and trying to highlight in the cast today, because I think it's going to be a big element of what team succeeds on Downfall. You know, the 2-2-1 splits work really well on this map if you can stay coordinated, if your one doesn't get picked early. A good 5-man push works really well if you have a quick spawn, which there are a couple of objectives now that have these very close Marsoc spawns where you're into the action in a moment's notice. And so I'm curious to see sort of what we get with, I guess, objective-wise and spawn-wise. And I'm looking at the first objective of the day, and I don't think it's going to be. It's a standard, regular objective that hasn't. It's not a new objective on the map, which there is a handful of. It's something that I think players will be used to, and so I think it'll be a nice kind of starting point for the series, so to speak, to just get a good idea of what both of these squads are going to bring to the table, and knowing we don't got to wait any longer. Round 1 has kicked off, and again, I'm excited to see what kind of offensive style we get from both squads.
Yeah, and the first offense we see will be this Raptors squad. You can see them tucked in there in the southeast corner spawn of this Downfall map, and the round is underway. We'll see the defense tucks in time, or if we'll see some early shots come out. No one cresting the ridge yet on the offense. One getting close to position. They're going for that 2-1-2 split on their cross.
Yep, they've sent Masono up into a forward position. He's got Overwatch on that hill, and their eyes on down to Nep, who is taking some shots. They have to be careful of the other back position way, who's that, very deep in the back corner. I believe it's Kogaru who's holding that far back angle. It does have that sniper, and he is kind of on the hunt for where those initial shots came from. It's a risky peek out of this window because players do tend to check it, but he's definitely looking for a lot of this initial push up onto the north side. I guess to their advantage, he is not really paying much attention to the north. So it is giving time for Redux and FG soldiers to kind of swing wide on the north and set up this attack.
I think Nep just caught a couple of bullets there for his troubles as he was out peeking that window, but we'll check in with him in just a few moments as we sweep north here and take a look at Redux and Soldiers' approach in this northeast corridor. This is going to be a question of timing for this offense. Are they going to be able to synchronize their push and keep these defenders from being able to gang up on one specific approach?
This is a tough approach to really make work. Redux finds one. CK Japan going down on the back wall. Redux able to work his way up into that 2-story, peeks out the window and gets a nice shot with, I believe, an ACOG on that rifle. And oh no, it's the yeah, he does have that ACOG scope. He is getting sort of hovered. You saw the laser skim there from one of the defenders, I believe Nashi down in there, is looking for an angle out the window. But Redux is really tucked into the corner, and so going to be very hard to ID unless he peeks more of this window, and you can see Nashi's really looking for it.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of adjustment happening now on the Marsoc side. We saw a little bit of shifting in the south. They got up into some windows. Focused on that brothel, which they should be. There is a member up in the windows, and most notably, Nep in Center Hotel has moved away from that doorway position where he caught a few rounds. Now actually rotating back to check it again. We'll see if the offense will be ready for his popping up in that area.
Yeah, he is still on the hunt up into that on that north hilltop. And to your point, Raptors have shifted off of that earlier position. They have marksman now in the ravine, looking for any kind of angle. They're putting suppressive fire out. Nashi scoops up one. Does find the refrag onto Redux over in the north, while shots do ring down into the center on towards Nep. So a bit of a firefight going on across the map, but they have lost sort of their one important element up in the north as Marksman scoops up Axel Reese with some sniper shots.
There's a great little shot there coming out from him. And the pressure, they're actually not coming towards Nep. It's going to Koguru in the brothel. They're tucking him into that corner window. And he's actually getting low and trying to snake himself out of the danger zone, and he's got plenty of lasers to worry about as this offense has really started targeting that approach. They really want him out of there. They've got the 3 in the south, and they need to get rid of him if they want to get any hope of getting close to this objective. Nep on the nice little peek there onto Messino as he comes down the mid. That's going to make it a 3v3, even things out here for this defense. Marksman taking a few extra shots, and the final one lands as Nashi goes down, but is not out in that 2-story helicopter.
But this means the north approach is vulnerable, and you see Soldiers is pushing in from this north side. And if Nashi doesn't find Soldiers here or communicate this, there's an opportunity for an entry into the cap. Nep finds Distorted trying to enter in. Soldiers finally gets Koguru there inside that back building. He's been called out by numerous times, and after scooping him up, it is all up to Nep, who has to hold an angle onto objective, because he is the final defender. And like I said, Soldiers has a clean line of entry to this objective right now with 1:15.
Yeah, he's got to be reacting off of this. I think he's hearing the call-outs from Nashi and being a little extra cautious. He doesn't know if that's a player up or not. He is peeking quite a bit, and there goes Nep on the rotation out towards objective, and Raptors secure themselves a round 1 win.
The call-outs from Nashi there, for maybe those unfamiliar, when you're down, you can communicate with your team if you haven't been fully killed. Sometimes you can be resurrected if you don't get hit in the head with a bullet. And so Nashi was down and able to communicate, and that's why Nep ended up pushing up towards the objective wall, because he needed to cover that wall and kind of made himself a free kill. A better alternative than losing the round 2-0, but either way, a good start for Raptors and a rough one for OJC. You never want to start off with that Volk L, because the Marsoc wins on Downfall are not easy to secure.
No, certainly not. There's quite a bit of ground to cover and not a lot of utility that can help you make it, especially with the shield not being in play here in this season. Not always a choice for Downfall for a lot of teams, but certainly an easier way when you get into the closer range of the objective, a good way to draw some fire. And teams have to be very creative, and we're seeing a lot more of these high-powered scopes, or even just a 2x or a 3x on a standard rifle to help cope with the range and trying to get people out of these windows, try to get the defenders out of their little corners. And we saw like a great rotation there from Soldiers to pick up Koguru, who was a thorn in the side of that Raptors offense for the majority of that first round.
almost hopped in there to round 2, but using the full time between rounds to hash out strategy. And again, I want to see what sort of approach we get from OJC. And I mean, the defense there of OJC is, I think, what ultimately cost them that round. The setup there of them peeking out and looking for the early kills. Not something you necessarily need to do on an objective like this. You can really let them come into a more tightly tucked in kill box, which can afford you the comfort of really just camping an angle, not risking peeking. You know when you're going to spot somebody or when you're going to be spotted. And so I'm curious to see if we see that defensive style or, again, what we get out of here in round 2, which is now underway. OJC on the offense, they have that northeast spawn, so not mirrored spawns. Curious to see how they'll work with this.
You know, that South Street approach for this objective is so crucial at times. It's been a staple for a lot of offenses to get at least a couple of folks down there and split the view of the defense if they're not constantly under pressure. The early shots coming out here from Koguru tuck in a defender who's trying to make it to that white tower, and it looks like he just about, now he's going to stop at that wall. Now Koguru may have another chance to find the head of Redux, who is the defender at that wall.
Yeah, he is on the hunt. The rest of his team on a wide rotation down into that south ravine because they need to secure it, and they're going with a 3-1-1 split.
This is an interesting choice. I mean, it's so easy to lose your solo pushers on a particular angle and open up a slice of the map for the defense to have full control over. Usually you like to see at least 2 sets of pairings, so sending 3 down could be a problem, but now even looking at that split, they've kind of broken off a little bit and have it a 2-1 setup in that south as that third member of the offense catches up.
Yep, just trying to get a little action up on that hill, see if they spotted any rotations coming in, but nothing identified, and he is going to be swinging back. And I'm sure maybe I would be assuming that CK is going to actually take this far south side of the ravine and maybe hold an overwatch from this white house where he can potentially find some picks through that window down into that 3-story, maybe down onto Marksman, who's looking at this exact hilltop. Could also potentially spot Soldiers, who's holding a prone angle underneath that car and on the other side of the wall.
This defense has gotten into some interesting positions. Nothing too crazy. Soldiers, the only one in kind of a unique position. The other one that had me worried was Redux early on, and he's tucked in behind that wall. That'll only be effective for so long, but once you've got the offense on that west street, you've got to be worried about sitting out exposed like that as they get closer to the objective.
To sort of, I heard some comms between Soldiers and Distorted there, and Soldiers mentioning to just stay tucked in. That's an important element, as I mentioned, of a defense on downfall. You really don't want to peek yourself in any windows or expose yourself to any sniper shots where you can get downed early. And if you look at this defensive setup, it's exactly what it is. It's a tight kill box around objective. Marksman holding very specific angles with Distorted. Redux tucked in very tight, watching a far north rotation, not even concerned about rotation coming up from the center. Marksman does finally see the cross there and take some shots, but information gained, and now he has to be careful about getting scooped up by that south ravine offender, excuse me.
Yeah, those shots ringing out do manage to land, just not enough to down, as Nep has to use some utility to stay alive in this round, but he's got himself into lower dumpster. Got about half of the round left to go before they have to make some pretty serious push onto this objective, and Soldiers, I think, is going to be one of the first major hurdles for this offense trying to secure this west street.
Yeah, to the point of being tucked, CK very fortunate that Soldiers is holding such a disciplined angle because he does manage to make it off of that south hill and over to this corner, but as he peeks it, Soldiers instantly scoops up CK Japan, and a nice kickoff to the Raptors defense, holding on that south push out. Curious what the approach of OJC is going to be here, because Nashi's now made it up to the down to Blackhawk.
Yeah, and this is huge. There's not a lot of coverage here outside of Marksman and Distorted. And if they get distracted by the other members of this offense, he could get himself close to that objective. Couple more shots from Marksman there. Not gonna land as... Oh, there they are. They do find their target in the end as Excella goes down, and now it is just Nep in that southwest dumpster building, and 3 OJC remaining to deal with a full up Raptors defense.
Ooh, almost some team killing coming in here. Nep's taking shots at CK in Blackhawk, which does force, at Nashi in Blackhawk, which does force a rotation from Nashi out of it now. So potential angle that he could have picked up onto Marksman. He was looking towards Marksman's window. Now Nashi maybe trying to communicate that he is, in fact, over at the Blackhawk. Do not shoot him. But there is maybe a thread here to be found. It's going to be very hard because Redx can peek up, find an angle on the Nashi. Koguru has to, I guess, find that pick. And man, they are, with 30 seconds left, they have a lot to work through here.
Yeah, Koguru is gonna have a hard time with Redux, who hasn't moved from this position since start, and the angle there a little too narrow for him, but he's gonna peek out and spot Nashi as he goes for the clear with the grenade, and just like that, the final kill coming out from Messino onto Nep will seal the deal, and Raptors go up 2-0 in this first round.
That's the kind of defense you need to set up to, and then it's exactly what I mentioned. OJC was lacking in their defensive setup. So you really, if you just stay tucked in and tight, you force the offense to cover a significant amount of ground, have to clear a substantial amount of windows and different angles to safely make it to where they need to eventually push to objective. And then once they can finally do that, there's still so many defenders they have to work through, as long as your defense is holding the proper angles. And that was a great kill box by Raptors there around that objective. And just really a textbook downfall defense that gets them the W there. We'll see what we get out of OJC on this objective. We shift down into that, what is called South Dumpster building, because there is a dumpster just across from it.
Imagine being known for the dumpster that's just outside of your house. You know, what a call out. Definitely a legacy one, though. We've had it for some time. I'm sure other folks have different names for it than some of us veteran players. But yes, a new objective shifted down, and this one has some pretty interesting spawns associated with it that will definitely shake up the way that we see these two offenses approach in their respective rounds, because you get those quick spawns, you're sort of forced to make quick peeks, forced to get into exchanges with the defense early, and whoever lands the shots, generally speaking, will win out in the end. And we'll see what happens on the Raptors' timeout on offense here as the round gets ready to kick off.
Yeah, one of the common strategies that we are seeing here is that when you spawn in, you actually lay down before you spawn in. Because right now, Raptors are undetected by the likes of OJC because they have stayed low enough to the ground. And now they can cross this street from their spawn. This could give OJC a false sense of security, and thinking that this is not a quick spawn, but here's Soldiers as he swings up and over. Axella Reese goes down early.
Smoke starting to come in already, but Nep with a nice little pick there. As the smoke lands, will down Redux. That should be a res coming in, and the smoke pressure is in already. 20 seconds burned, but a lot of real estate gained by this offense as they charge forth for this objective.
I mean, with these smokes out, there's a real opportunity to push up here and threaten this objective. They have the right coverage, and it's really CK holding this objective. The res comes in, Nep finds his kill finally as he scoops up the immediately res Def Redux. But as these smokes dissipate, that opportunity to push objective dissipates as well. Distorted does get a kill up off of it, and now he has control of the 3-story.
It's going to be a bit of a rotation nightmare for OJC if they're not careful. They only got to lose maybe one more before this objective becomes pretty exposed based on their currently open lanes. And there's the down that I was worried about. CK going down on the outside of objective. Still able to do callouts, though. Not a total loss. This is going to force that rotation off the hill. Nobody in White House now. And Nashi really only useful for the initial cross to OBJ. He won't be able to make the run if somebody makes it past. The res does come out, however.
Yeah, big res definitely needed. Opens up the opportunity to properly cover their gaps, because really it's up to Koguru and CK to hold this objective right now. Nashi, I think, has realized he was ineffective in his old position and has shifted now, and so maybe he can now help this defense. And an opportunity gone there. You know, we see teams that are exceptionally skilled capitalize on moments like that, and it takes a lot of practice and confidence to push in and charge on an objective when you have an advantage like that. But ultimately, OJC have rotated and are able to properly defend, at least, and Raptors now have to work to push up towards the OBJ.
CK here mounting a one-man charge against this offense, but Soldier is able to shut him down with that same position he had on defense underneath the truck. Does find the head of CK, and that's just going to leave two members of the defense who are effectively completely suppressed. They are totally nullified. Messino could make this run and likely get very close to objective, but Soldiers is the one who makes the run first. He's got Pat out. Is Koguru going to check? He is not going to check in time, and Raptors will get themselves 2 points. What a little push there, but that's exactly what I was talking about. It was just so exposed, and they were so pressured in the back that they couldn't effectively watch the front of that objective. But Soldiers is the one who makes the run first. He's got Pat out. Is Koguru going to check? He is not going to check in
and that's what that
time,
was.
and
As soon as OJC shifted their defense, they had the opportunity to defend, but Raptors still hadn't pushed up, still had the advantageous positions they had gotten themselves early in that round, and then utilized those to regain the ground they needed, suppressed the angles they needed, and pushed up very nicely along that wall to ultimately get that cap. A very nice coordinated push from that Raptors offense that frankly is just tough to counter for the OJC perspective with how many they had left alive.
Yeah, that was a great series and a commanding start for this Raptors team in this matchup. And I saw somebody talking about it in the Twitch chat, but OJC did have the better of Raptors in the Customs Maps tournament. So this is kind of a grudge match held over from that off-season tournament we held. And Raptors taking a great lead here. We'll see if OJC can answer back on their map choice, which, as you can see there on the scoreboard, will be Suburbia. This one, you know, I mean, you couldn't get more of a stark difference between the last map and this one, and I think the teams are really going to have to showcase that aggression here as best they can, because it worked out for the Raptors there in the end, but they felt a little sluggish, right? The pressure came out early, and then they kind of got held up by Nep and whoever was in the White Tower taking a few shots there. I apologize. I think that was Nashi. And they slowed up a little bit there and struggled to seal the deal, but ultimately getting that cap. I'm expecting to see some of that OJC trademark aggression here in these rounds as we get into map 2.
Yep, I do expect that as well, especially coming off of a 4-0W, 3 rounds secured just like that. If you're OJC, it's honestly an opportunity to reset here, a real true opportunity to gather yourselves and come back and make this map a bit more, significantly different sort of challenge for the Raptors the Raptors team. But if Raptors can ride the momentum, it's going to be real hard for OJC to go up against. We'll see what they do as we do get into this round one, and OJC rolling up through the center early. Shots coming in on that far west side. Marksman's worked up to the APC and might be taking an angle through that APC to try and find some information.
Yeah, he's looking for Nep and Nashi here. Tucked in is a very cheeky little angle underneath the track here. He does manage to find the head of Nashi in the end. And Nep now left alone in lane 4 to deal with the loss.
It's a good little transfer there from him, too. He tried to go for the double. He tried to find that first and then swing and snag Nep, but couldn't quite do it. So a patient play from Marksman to wait before he had both targets in his sights. But either way, a successful one as he does scoop up at least one push there. CK Japan, in the meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, has worked his way up almost to that APC and may be able to get behind a couple of defenders if he plays it cautiously. If he has the right sort of threat coming in from the mid, like Kogeru pushing in through this front door, Soldiers just here around the corner, holding a very tight angle that Kogeru is not ready for.
A great pickup there in that center house, and as we talked about in the last cast earlier today, this center house is so key for the offense. If you're able to secure this, you're largely going to be successful on your push because the coverage that center house brings is so massive. VR Marksman picking up that last member of the offense in lane 4, and that's just going to leave the 2 behind center house. CK Japan and Axel Reese on the offense.
Oh, an interesting smoke coming in here. This is intended to go through that wall and distort who's ever tucked into the corner on the stairs.
That was a little pre-fire angle there by Marksman trying to catch anybody crossing towards that smoke, but right now it's just Axela who's actually opting to go find Marksman, going out of the way to deal with that defender. Good spot, Messino does, and that's 2. For this OJC team. They've got 3 left to go, but the callouts will be available for Marksman as he's still somewhat alive and kicking.
It's what I do really enjoy about Onward is anything's possible, even if you're down into a 1v5. It really is. There's the potential to come back from that, and there's the potential for this 2v5 to work for OJC if they find the right picks. CK Japan going loud as he shifts over to the APC. Definitely going to be known now on this shifted position as Distorted does dip down to that window. CK is going to be looking for Redix. If he isn't looking here, and there's Distorted who does pick up the kill. A key angle held there from him, saving Redix's life. Redix still dialed in over towards Marksman, and Excella confirms the comms coming in from him because they are dangerous as Soldiers spots the angle through the window and finds the kill.
Yeah, that was a nice little attempted comeback by the OJC offense, but not quite enough to get them the points they so desperately need. And it really just came down to that middle house. If you can't unseat the defenders in that middle house, you're going to have a very tough time getting anything done. Those windows have a huge advantage for the defense that are inside of them. Lots of cover, obviously, and you have to be pretty quick on your trigger finger to try and deal with them from the outside. So a good hold by the Raptors defense, and we'll see if they have a successful outing on offense or if the OJC can stop this 5-point unanswered march that the Raptors have gone on now since map 1.
Yeah, it's been a certainly commanding performance from this Raptors team. They seemingly have had the advantage at the start of every round, and Marksman's been a key shooter for this Raptors team. He's had that DMR on downfall and definitely succeeded well with the range, but there early with that APC angle through the treads finds a couple of very important kills that shut down any sort of OJC full encirclement of that objective, and ultimately it gets them, in my opinion, the W. But we'll see if he continues to be a key element and if OJC can shut VR Marksman down. I mean, you look at the kill feed, there's 2 for Soldiers and 1 for Distorted, so they also certainly doing well in that first round. But a lot of game to be played yet here, as we are only into map 2 and we are only into that second round.
Second round kicking off for this Raptors offense, and they have been looking good on both sides of the field so far. So far, 5 unanswered points that OJC is hoping to stop here on their map choice. The defense in the second round needs to hold.
Soldiers Distorted swinging here over to that east side of the map. Looking for Nep, who does have a very aggressive forward angle. He's pushed up to the Hesco. He's not trying to cheekily peek through the APC. He's challenging very much straight up the push from Raptors on this east side.
Yeah, they're going to have to peek out a little bit more, and we're seeing a similar little cross here as CK Japan is just too narrow on an angle, much like Def Redux is. And there's the pick on Nep going the way of Raptors, and just like that, OJC already down 1 60 seconds into the round.
A nice nade that goes just on the other side of that Hesco, and there's the danger of being that far forward, is that a blind toss nade, they didn't know he was there, but a blind toss nade up and over where they suspected somebody to be catches out a defender. Now the swing comes in here from Soldiers. He catches some heat from Nashi, who does have sort of the backup angle onto this side. And Distorted, however, has a lot of room to work with now, as they do have control of playground.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about anybody inside of the spawn building there. The defense opting to stack largely inside, as always, in a fantastic nade toss again from Distorted. Getting the down there. VR Marksman with the pressure on the inside gets Kogaru. Distorted scoops up the final picks, and just like that, in a flurry of bullets, Raptors have secured a 6th unanswered point here on map 2.
I mean, a stellar pair of nades, what it comes down to, and VR Marksman 4 kills there. I'm not sure who threw. I think it was Distorted with those nades, though, as he does get a fantastic toss up and over. I mean, just perfectly placed for both defenders on this east side. And again, they clear up that east side, and this time Raptors open up their opportunity to fully encircle the map. And as soon as they start to push in, the defense of OJC sort of crumbles, because they have to shift out and check certain corners. They don't want the cap to come in, so losing to dying is better than losing the cap, and that is ultimately what happens as Raptors take a quick 2 in this map 2. They are, getting dangerously close to running away with this series, which I certainly would not have expected. Granted, I did anticipate Raptors to perform well here today and be a threat to OJC, but OJC is a team that I have seen go up against some of the sort of top players in the league and succeed. So interesting to see that they are having such a difficult time against this Raptors offense. And Raptors, they look very clean. They looked clean in their first game in week 1, and they look clean here in week 2. And it's 6 unanswered points.
Yeah, the bulk of the kills there coming from just 3 members of the Raptors. Marksman, Soldiers, and Distorted, each picking up 3 and 4. Only 2 kills on the OJC side, so struggling a little bit to make the shots land on the OJC side. We'll see if the tides start turning here in round 3, or if Raptors truly will run away with this map. A new objective here, the playground objective, should give us the hottest, the spiciest action yet, as the pressure comes in early on the South Street.
Yeah, it shifts the map to being a east to west sort of push instead of a north to south, and It tends to be very fast action as Distorted takes some shots just over the head of CK Japan, who does manage to tuck in. Mason swings wide and scoops up Nep on the backside of that offense. CK looks for the refrag. He can't find it as Distorted scoops him up. And the rest of this offense, well, is just Acceleration and Nashi, who are left swinging in from the north.
Yeah, they've gone the long way around, but desynced with the team and now running immediately into the pressure of Soldier's position underneath that white car. Having a tough time about it, and they go down to just one member. Now, Excella the only one up and running, looking for this pick on Soldiers, but it's going to be so tough to challenge him from this angle. This is exactly what he's looking for, this approach.
And Soldier is the king of the prone underneath the car angles, seemingly, as he's found another one here on Suburbia. He's looking for Accelerise on the corner, who is also on the hunt for Soldiers here, and just barely finds the shot. What a fantastic angle there Excella has managed to find. Somehow puts bullets underneath that tiny little car angle and does get down at least one. We'll see if, well, I said 1v5s are doable, but very rarely do you see him. We'll see if Excella can put one together here.
It's going to be an uphill battle, but you can't ask for more time to take on this. He had a line there onto Distorted, just the bushes preventing him from seeing that pick. Could have easily been just 3 members up, and a lot of trepidation on the defense side going for that res onto Soldiers. They may opt to leave him to bleed out as Excella goes. No, it looks like Distorted will commit to that push. A little bit of fire coming out, and looks like Excella was ID'd on the cross here during that res, and Soldiers secures that final kill. Raptors, 7 points.
And it's, again, those top 3 highlighted in the kill feed. Soldiers now pulled away 5-0. Has not died. Actually, only 2 players have died on Raptors so far in this series on Suburbia. It's Marksman and Mason, and I mean, that is tough to deal with if you're OJC. A map like this, when you've just lost 4-0 off of a cap on Downfall, and then to not even be able to find the picks or any sort of kills to kick off the start of your round, it's just a non-stop challenge, and Raptors really starting to get, well, they're feeling a bit like Raptors. They've found their prey and they are attacking on Suburbia here with some serious speed.
Yeah, they've got the angles covered. I mean, we saw that that approach by OJC on the South Street get absolutely picked apart by the angles held by this Raptors defense, and it feels practiced. They're landing their shots, but it also feels like they're comfortable with where they need to go and where they need to be in order to cover that objective properly. And overall, just a really well-held objective by this Raptors team. OJC now having to hold the same. Can they find the success here? Can they break this seemingly unstoppable streak from the Raptors team of 7 unanswered points as the free fire comes out in force towards the objective area? CK Japan and Nashi both pushing aggressively onto this offense. Distorted and NepNep will go for the trade, and Def, Redux, and CK also trade out completely. Only Distorted now available for the res, and as I say, that gets cleaned up with a refrag from Soldiers in response. And now we're in a 2v3 as Marksman finds the head of Koguru here in the north, and just like that, Raptors poised to take this second map and the series uncontested.
It's all down to Accelerise yet again, the lone survivor of his team. A good shift. OJC not having success with what they were doing in those last 3 rounds of playing it cautiously and holding their angles, and decided to go for a challenge with aggression, and it nearly pays off. A couple of trades there ultimately They lose their forward push, and it is all up to Accelerise in this 1v3, but as long as Raptors don't coordinate like they have been, there's a chance, but it's going to be tough if they do sync up and Accelerise goes down before they even have an opportunity to push into the objective. Raptors lock in this series with 8 unanswered points in these first 2 maps, and this is looking to be the quickest series of Season 11 yet.
Yeah, we have not seen, at least in a cast, we have not seen a complete lockout by a team in this season so far. I've not actually gone through all of the standings to see if that's happened overall, but it certainly has not been something that we have seen casted just yet, but a great play by this Raptors team to really, I mean, just pick apart this OJC squad. It's been crazy to watch.
Yeah, and you know, they're a team that is pretty new to the league, coming in Season 10, you know, fresh faces to the community, improving themselves in Season 10, really coming out strong and climbing the ladder very fast. It put them up into contention with teams that maybe they weren't quite ready to face off against. But since then, they seem to have been doing their practice, and they look like a very coordinated team capable of challenging, you know, I would say top 10 NA squads. And so we'll see how they continue to develop, but this is a great week 2 for them to work off of. And, you know, if they can replicate this throughout the rest of this Season 11, this Raptors team is going to be a team we have to watch.
No doubt about that. We'll see how they perform on Quarantine. Their final map choice here. It is going to be the Raptors choice, as they are the Marsoc squad, so it looks like that has not changed. They have picked maps on both sides so far. And yeah, Raptors definitely have the dominant hand here. OJC need to put some points on the board, soften that MMR blow that they will get if they can't secure at least a map win here to normalize the score. It has been quite the series to watch so far. Glad that we've been able to pick this up. Thanks, folks, for coming out to watch. I seeing all the love and the hype in chat there, talking about the grenades we saw there earlier on Suburbia, as well as just this Raptors performance. But thanks for coming in and hanging out with us here on this fine Saturday eve. It's been a good match to watch. And if you're interested in some more Onward, it's going to be plenty casts tomorrow as well, I believe. So don't get too far away from your mobile device or PC of choice. Because we've got tons of this coming at you. And for many, many weeks still. We've got plenty of time left in the season, as we are only in week 2. So let's see how round number 1 of this third map goes for this OJC squad. They're looking to just get points on the board at this point and stop these charging Raptors from just running away with this series.
Yeah, looking like a 2-2-1 split for this Raptors offense. They snow up through the center and sending 2 north and south. See how this ends up paying off for them. This new objective, an interesting one, just up. It's. I want to see how it gets attacked, because you can kind of lob nades from the basement up right on top of the objective, and it's certainly a threat that the defense has to be aware of if they want to fully cover this objective properly. So we'll see how Raptors approach, what sort of style they go with. Distorted up here looking for some early picks as he's gotten himself into this roof.
Yeah, this roof is going to be really strong, and Soldiers drops off the angle right as Nashi rotates up to that hill, potentially giving up an easy kill there, depending on his loadout. He is still going to opt to push that hillside. Will he be spotted out by a member of this defense? He does spot Koguru, sends a few rounds that way. It's going to back that defender off that window. Nice and quick. That's info for Nashi, though, to keep his eyes trained on these buildings.
And I think Distorted, I thought for a second he had taken an angle and looked over onto that ridge where Nashi was, but yeah, he is briefly checking it here. There he does take shots as he swings to the backside of the roof. Down he goes, and now Soldiers is keyed into that position.
They're going to have to back off and get this res. They don't want to have to cross South Street if they don't have to. They don't know where that defender might have eyes on. The pressure from Messino there on South Street, just keeping them at bay. Meanwhile, all the way up in the north there, you can see Marksman and Redux finally making their way all the way into the north corner to challenge Accelerise up in the motel at some stage. But still a little bit of time before that kicks off. Distorted is back up. That res coming out from Soldiers. Put us back to a 5v5.
Redux has that ACOG on, so may be able to identify some long-range angles here, but this push in this north is getting close to being noticed soon enough. Accelerator is, like you said, tucked in here and waiting for any sort of audio cues to come in. The rest of the offense may be lacking just a touch in how far they are pushed up, as Soldiers and Distorted were thoroughly distracted from that Nashi defense on the ridge and have finally started to make their way up off of that 3-story building and pushing towards the objective. They're going to be running into black soon, and Masino actually finding Koguro in the center.
Your ID Soldiers, but he's not ready on the gun, and Soldiers swings wide and deals with that defender. Raptors up here 5-3. The 3 remaining defenders have quite a bit of work cut out for them as the pressure comes into CK. He's got to tuck in. Redux now applying decent pressure on objective itself as Distorted heads down the stairs. CK just barely makes the inside as Black scoops up Soldiers swinging wide on South.
Yeah, CK now looking to challenge Distorted on the stairs. He finds that kill. Masino still in the basement here looking for this refrag onto CK, but CK doesn't fully challenge, and OJC have managed to equalize things as we are into a 3v3. VR Marksman way in the north looking to get himself any sort of action onto Excella or anyone that's shifting defensive positions. Black certainly potentially vulnerable to an angle if Marksman can find it, but as long as this defense stays where they are, they have the right spots to hold. Excella seems to spot Marksman swinging out there on the edge.
Shots do ring out. The response shots come in, but they're not enough as Excella will find that long-range pick with that Marksman rifle. I'm sorry, with the AR. Now the pressure here is just on CK, who is the only one close enough to objective to really deny a cap opportunity, but the time is ticking down in Messino. If he goes down, there isn't really much hope for anybody getting close to the objective. He's got a lot of work to do.
I don't think they know about Black and the angle that he has here on this dumpster. He's got great vision just over he's got a nice little head peak that he's working with here, and Masino, I don't think is going to be ready for this when he starts to make his way up this ramp. The question is Black going to snap and identify this rotation? He is. As soon as Masino comes up into his vision, down he goes, and now, to your point, with 30 seconds left, it's up to Redux, who has to battle away Axel Reese, who is holding well in this stairway, in this doorway as he does come up. Axel swings wide and finds the kill. OJC finally, in map number 3, get a point on the board with a solid defensive hold here on Quarantine.
Yeah, that really came together as a function of quite a few different rotations and callouts, most notably CK and Excella. They both seems like were communicating well about the positions of the offense that they had nearby, and were able to coordinate well enough to get out of danger when they needed to get out of danger and get the shots when they needed to get the shots. And that is exactly what they need and want right now on map 3, as this is the first point that does not go to Raptors, and it is the first point in round 1 of this third map.
Yep, a solid job there on that defensive hold, and ultimately Raptors are dethroned there for a moment in time. We'll see what Raptors do here on offense. It's going to be looking like an aggressive peak out here from RedX, who is going to be pushing up onto this initial sort of overpass and then hunt for early rotations out of spawn, but not going to spot anything crazy because they don't have a quick spawn on them, and RedX now drops back into the hotel defensive position.
OJC going for that 3-2 split. 3 up on roof and 2 heading up center. No one in the south just yet. And we do see a member of the defense there on your mini-map rotating all the way around. That is VR Marksman heading up to that little hill and could do quite a bit of damage on the folks in the center if they're not ready for it.
Yeah, but that far north rotation is coming in with 3 stacked heavy, so if anything, this could actually become a very inefficient position if they do avoid him in the center there, to your point. As long as Marksman doesn't find any success there on the OJC, making their initial cross up to that middle building, this far south position could end up being very ineffective for this defense, as OJC is positioning themselves very quickly up towards this objective building.
Yeah, the scopes are on Def Redux's window looking for him. He's just off the edge of it a little bit, and I noted CK Japan here in the center as Koguru goes down on an aggressive push down into the basement there. It's going to force Black to opt to go top side and maybe have to challenge this defender on the inside. Distorted, who may not be ready for it. Swings wide, he's looking for the peak. Is he going to challenge the corner? No.
Black's gone quiet now and is holding this angle tight. He's heard Distorted's comms there just around the corner, so very aware of this defender being here, and it's really good comms from Raptors. And I think, one thing we got to talk about is how lively the communication has been from this Raptors team, and it is something that very much lends itself to success in Onward. And it's important to be clear of where everyone is. Distorted mentioning where he is, where Soldiers is, how they're covering, what they're covering, just so that the rest of his team is confident in the angles that are being held and they can hold what they need to. As Distorted does work up here, he spots the north rotation. Excella goes down in a trade, but is Resible.
Now this opens up the lane for Black, however. I mean, Messino's on the inside stairwell here, but now he's on the corner. He's on the inside. Did they notice the rotation? Messino's got to try and push this in. Can he cap from that corner? The pressure coming in. It's going to be tough. Messino drops down. Def Redux finds Nashi on the front, and Black can't get the code in as Messino swings wide with the panic fire and just stops that cap opportunity for this OJC squad.
Wow, and unfortunate that they didn't have reinforcement from Excella and Nashi from that north push. Either way, it's just a touch out of sync on that initial entry point, because like you said, Black could have capped there. As now Japan does push up into the smoke. CK's right here with his tablet out, and I don't think they've seen this push. Soldiers is blind. CK's punching in the code. OJC looking to get pushed up 3-0. They get it just as he goes down.
That was a fantastic smoke play there, just not ID'd by the defense in time. And a ballsy play by CK. He was hungry for it that whole time. We had the camera over the top of him. He had to be thinking cap that entire time, and it pans out beautifully here as he gets himself in just the right place. Oh, that's not the right replay, but he does get himself right onto the tippy top of those stairs.
Yep.
And gets the code in just moments before those bullets from the defense shut him down.
Yeah, mere seconds away. A really great pickup. And what I think this is really showing us is just how well Raptors played in those first two maps, because OJC very capable of being coordinated and being in sync. We're seeing that very much here on their defense, on their rotations, and on their offensive attacks. It's well, even I guess I would say that offense was a little bit out of sync, but it still did end up working for them. And so they're very much capable of going up against this Raptors squad and taking rounds from them, but they just weren't able to get anything through in those first two maps. And maybe they can lock this map 3 up with a final defensive round as we do hop into round 3. What could be the last one of the series.
Yeah, OJC looking strong here in map 3, finally finding some footing on the Raptors, map choice no less. But exactly what they need. If they can shut this out, it will certainly soften that 8-0 blow that the first two maps will deal.
Yeah, the old classic of you always got to play through that third map, and if you can win it, you do help yourself out. So that's what OJC are trying to do, and Black's pushed up into the center pretty far forward, but not going to be ID'd by the likes of Soldiers, who does have some sort of angle into that mid rubble area. He's not going to, again, be able to find Black, who's just barely blending in, and Soldier's not going to go up into that top story, so he's not going to find the angle there. And curious to see Distorted, if he crosses here, could get scooped up by Nashi just as Nashi drops off the angle he was holding.
It's all quiet here in the first 60 seconds, and as I say that, the first shots ring out, and a tight little angle there for Distorted to find the head of Nashi as his bullets don't quite land, and now the exchange going the way of Soldiers for Excella as well, and that is 2 down and out just over a minute into the round.
Not how OJC want this to kick off. Raptors on the hunt here in round 3. They do not like being down 3-0 on this map 3, and to the point of earning as many points as you can. They don't want to not secure anything here on this map, and so very much a thirsty Raptors squad looking for blood. Smokes and nades coming in onto this south side should give away that the push is coming through at least a little bit to the OJC defense, if they weren't aware already after losing 2 here. But this is a very tough objective to properly defend with only 3 left alive.
There's quite a bit of work left to do. VR Marksman taking a few shots out towards center, not gonna find his target. He's got to be cautious here as the defenders in that northwest corridor of the map could get angles on him if he decides to get a little too peeky. I mean, Black has 3 lasers trained on his position. He is identified in spades as everybody looks for him to make a mistake and open up this center approach for this offense.
He's in the Bermuda Triangle of coverage right now. He's just barely avoiding these shots, and he cannot afford to dip out or downhill go. And so this is his position here. Maybe an opportunity to work around it if the Raptors offense can swing all the way in through that south side. And now as Black does start to move just a bit here, that Bermuda Triangle of safety may start to go away.
Shots trading out in the northwest, and there it is. Messino will be the one that finds the kill onto Black, and we'll have to check in here in the northwest as the noose tightens around the remaining 2 OJC defenders. Just CK Japan and Koguru on the inside line of the objective, but VR Marksman already on objective. He's on the inside. Koguru with the game sense.
Yep. A great read there. Aware that that corner pocket can get capped, and heard the footsteps of Marksman entering in and swings around to get that kill. The problem is, as Koguru goes down, it's bad news is that coverage goes away, and now Soldiers can push in as long as they don't confirm CK, who they are looking for here. Down they go. Redux finds the kill. And, well, a rare moment that Raptors miscommunicate and lose an opportunity to secure more points. But either way, do get one on the board here in map 3.
They do indeed, and take a quick look at that pick onto Black that opened up that center push from the Raptors squad. A nice little shot from Messino is what secured it for them. And, you know, it's hard to spread your defense that wide when you're OJC, but you're kind of, your hand is forced when this Raptors team tries to cast as wide a net as possible, and as successful as they have been in these one-on-one engagements. You know, you can't commit everybody to one area necessarily, so they kind of have to spread out, but just not enough people crashing to the objective, and almost a 2-point loss for them there. But luckily the kill going out will just give the Raptors one and put OJC on Marsoc for potentially closing out this map if they can find success on the same objective.
Yes, indeed. Just want to lock this one in, but Soldiers making it difficult here. 7-1 on the kill death feed there. Really finding quite a few kills in this series today. It has been frequently on the kill feed in those first 2 maps as well, and we'll see if he can continue to make an impact that eventually gets Raptors a couple more dubs as we hop into our next round.
Round 4 underway now. OJC not getting the mirror spawn, getting the formerly crater spawn. The crater actually now a sort of a hill. It's a hill, the hill spawn in that northeast. They filled in the crater finally. The public works here at Quarantine spending their tax dollars wisely. OJC going with that 3-2 split, sending the 2 up the middle, and actually Koguru breaking off, heading across North Street and getting himself situated somewhere for a south approach. It looks like he's not even going to opt. He is going to opt for that middle underground area. Yeah, he's now in the windows there, so he will be looking out towards Burning. See if he can spot anything. The rest of this defense got some good little spots here. They've got some coverage onto North, but VR Marksman going to have his work cut out for him, as he's going to have to deal with 3 as the shots come out. CK Japan on the wrong end of that SKS, and Marksman finds himself the first pick of this round.
Nashi tries to nade Marksman there, but that goes just a bit wide, and a risky swing here from Nashi to get himself over to that 18-wheeler and tuck himself into some cover.
Yeah, they've slowed up now in the north, and Marksman's rotation is going to be pretty big to deal with. I don't think they're going to be ready for this repositioning, and the rotation's just so on point. He was ID'd, he knew he had to back off. They heard the shots and tossed the nade, and now will they be ready for him to change his position here, or will they opt to go even further around? No, it looks like he's going to be the one that opts to go all the way around, as Excella, the one just on the other side of this door. Will Marksman be heard? Excella, yes, ready on that doorway to deal with the push from Marksman. He got a little antsy, you know, that defense. You start to feel a little confident, and he was a little too confident there, as Distorted now looking for Nashi in this position in response.
Yeah, and he's not quite looking at the right angle there, as he does get tagged. Redux finds Excella Reese as he swings up onto that north side, and now a little bit of an issue there for Nashi.
Redux gives up on the corner. That's going to give Nashi a little bit of breathing room, but he doesn't know that. He thinks there's still somebody watching. Now defense repositioning again, and they're kind of scurrying about this objective. They need the pressure from Black and Koguru to take some of the pressure off of Nashi's approach, if they can find it. But so far, those two in the south still just looking for the picks long range, and Nashi does manage to scoop up soldiers in a nice little peek as he swings out and tries to go for the flank. Not going to work out.
That is a big pickup because with soldiers down, a key killer so far for this Raptors squad in this series, and we'll see if Masono can pick up the refrag. He does. A good angle held there on that bottom floor. Prevents Nashi from making an entry in. And still 3 up now for Raptors to OJC's 2, who are working in from the south as Black nearly team kills Koguru.
Can't afford the team kills right now, OJC. You've got to stay focused on these defenders, and that shot, whether or not it was a team kill, was enough to let Raptors know where they've got to keep their eyes. Now Distorted, aware of this approach from the south. Will Masino be ready for Koguru? If he opts to pop up, it looks like Masino will actually rotate out down low instead. And again, there's so much rotation, it's hard to cover this defense. As Distorted goes all the way back to center. Def Redux now in the north, and Masino the only one on objective currently.
I mean, you know, with 3, this objective becomes tough to cover, and Koguru could very well work his way up to the objective. I don't think, maybe Distorted saw him there and took shots. I'm not sure.
Looks like he did. He still is taking those shots. Not quite able to land, however, and that is going to be enough for Koguru to get close enough to the objective. Does he spot Masino? No, he doesn't. As the smokes come out, Masino charges and able to deal with Koguru in the close range. And now it is all up to the Black, the member of the OJC offense remaining here, as 60 seconds tick down and he catches a bullet in the behind. Which is not where he wants to be.
Yeah, all 3 defenders very keyed into his location here. Raptors likely with an accurate kill count. Yeah, and even then saying, are we sure this is the last guy? So Raptors very much aware of the situation they're in, as Black does find Redux. Holds an angle on the side of the wall. 30 seconds left now for him to push forward, get past Distorted, and challenge the objective. It's a tall order for sure. And I don't think he has enough time with the route that he's taking.
Yeah, 20 seconds means he's going to have to largely go for kills. A C4 detonation there, not going to pan out. And he is pushing this objective hard. Will he be able to get himself into this corner in time? He's got 5 seconds. How fast is he on the code punching? 2 seconds left. No time left for this OJC team to get that code in, but an unbelievable sneak there for Black to get in under that defense.
That was really close, and I mean, yeah, just not enough time on the clock. Granted, you know, something we haven't touched on that I will keep touching on for at least the first few weeks of this season. There's a 6-minute timer in play here, so even more time to work with there for Black than there has been in Season 10, and ultimately it still is not enough as he gets there just a bit too late. You know, if he had maybe punched in the code in 2 seconds, I think is what he really had left there to get it in once he got into the corner. But either way, a good attempt, almost makes it through, and OJC still not able to lock this one in with that Raptors hold. And you got to be careful because Raptors, I'm sure, are looking for that cap back, so to speak. They very much want to lock in a third map.
They do, and they need it. They are going to be here on match point again for this defense, and it needs to hold if they want to take at least one map away from this Raptors squad in this series so far. And it's important for placement. It may be early in the season, but where you get placed after your 3 games played can certainly give you a different feel for your season, because you start in a different area of the ladder and you have a different amount of work to do. I know some teams don't like starting too low because you kind of don't get that high level competitive pressure from the top teams until later in the season, and you're You don't have enough time to adapt to it, so it's challenging. And I'm wondering if that's what the OJC folks want, is to get themselves a little bit higher on the board. They need at least this map win to soften the blow and not start too low on the standings after week 3.
Yeah, there is, something that I think we don't talk about often either in these casts is there's obviously stuff to compete for, prizes on the line at the end of the season. The culmination of this season and your rank does matter, and so there is, something to be working for a lot of these teams, and so you definitely don't want to be dipping down early in the ranks in a start of a season if you want to be potentially competing for that prizing at the end of it. So, yeah, OJC just on the cusp of securing this. If they can hold this defensive round, they will lock in a third map, but Raptors certainly thirsty for some blood as they have secured 2 unanswered points and are looking to make this comeback happen.
I'm expecting to see a very tight OJC defense here. As I say that, they rotate 2 out to the south, tossing a couple of smokes in. Now this objective, this East HQ objective, definitely allows your defense to have a little bit more range in terms of the distance they can have from the OBJ, as long as they have a good line on the approach to it. And we'll see how this works. They're going to have to deal with Koguru first as the shots ring out from VR Marksman, and Distorted will tuck him in.
Yeah, to your point of being able to sort of be away from objective, Koguru this south position is a good position for this objective because he can rotate south around the building, have good coverage of OBJ if they get past him here, and he can also be a threat early like he is. So we'll see if he can really capitalize on this defensive position the rest of this round, but already he's got a 1v3 in front of him.
Yeah, Black is not going to be close enough for a refrag, and if Koguru goes down, Black is in a lot of danger. A common spot that he's in could find the pressure early from this offense and really open up this south approach. And there's the shots again from VR Marksman, keeping him tucked in. Soldiers now looking as well, and these lasers are just dancing inches away, and they're keeping him occupied while Distorted makes this other approach. He's already close enough to start getting on the hill, and now the pressure coming in from the defense. Looks like Nashi was the one sending a few rounds down towards Soldier's position, and Distorted now giving himself away. So this is information for Koguru, and we're sort of seeing this dance of intel back and forth. Now Koguru tucking in on the inside wall, and we'll see if he can spot out Distorted. He's going to have a hard time making this peak, though, without catching a few rounds for his troubles.
Yeah, Koguru really has to get up and over this hill to spot out Distorted, and Marksman's been lasered in on that ledge, waiting for Koguru to peek up even just a slice of his head, and certainly a risky angle. Distorted has, however, capitalized off of this coverage and is now pushed up to the corner, threw some shots up to the ridge just to make sure, and is going to be challenging Black. Black finds the kill as soon as Distorted swings around the corner.
Accelerese manages to deal the damage to Messino in that center tank courtyard area, and just like that, Raptors down to 3. But what a 3 they've got. Soldier's still up, the one dealing the most damage, says OJC squad. They can't get complacent with these picks they've gotten so far. They have to stay tight on these angles.
Yeah, Redux shooting up a storm here in the north, really trying to draw some eyes. He's got Excella's attention. He's got CK's attention. It certainly is working to some extent. Still, though, Koguru and Black are holding down this south side, and Soldiers maybe found. Oh no! Wow, that's a great nade from Soldiers, who finds the frag on the Black. Marksman scoops up Koguru off the backside. Excella finally finds Redux in the north, and OJC keep things to their advantage. Well, as I say that, down goes CK, and we're tied 2-2.
Nice little pickup by soldiers there on the corner of the
Skips up
objective, and
Kuguru
that's
off
going to
the
make
backside.
Nashi anxious.
Excella finally finds Redux in the north, and
There's some
OJC
approaches to that
keep
objective
things
you can't
to
cover,
their advantage. Well, as I say
upstairs
that,
in
down goes CK, and we're
that
tied
building.
2-2.
So we'll see if these two remaining Raptors can unseat the OJC defense and tie the series up here, or if OJC can hang on and get themselves a map.
Tie it up. Nashi's got to be careful. If he goes down, there's a real cap opportunity on their hands, considering where Excella is. So they could be map over if they don't properly hold on to this one. Nashi going to be shifting over to these orange cans, which does seem to be the proper shift, and shots there confirming that his assumption that they are coming in from this far south side is correct.
Soldiers on a great angle there will manage to find Nashi, and that is the danger area they don't want to be in now. The crash.
This is it. This is the map into the hands of Raptors. This is the 4-0 comeback. If Soldiers gets it in time, and he does, Excella can't swing around and get the angle, and Raptors lock in map 3 with a 4-3 comeback.
An unbelievable comeback at that. A fantastic play. Soldiers with 11 picks to his name, and that cap to round out a fantastic comeback series for that Raptors squad. And OJC will just have to have better luck next time. I mean, they played great. There was always that pressure in the mid game from them, but they just weren't able to get anything consistent going, especially even in that last map. Yes, they got 2 rounds, but then of course the next 4 went the way of Raptors, and a really great play from these teams today.
Yep, Raptors going to be a team we have to watch throughout this season. Certainly see some more casts of them here on VRML on this channel, and not maybe on 2 and 3 when we have multiple games going live. Be sure to follow all of those channels. Also check out the Twitter and the Discord. Great places to get involved with the community if you are new and do want to be playing some Onward competitively. VRML.com, if you do want to sort of get an idea of what all the VR esports that are live that are going on, that website I think has sort of shaped into a really great one-stop shop for all of your VR esports action. So if you do ever want to start checking out what other sort of games are being offered there, the Echo Arena Season 3 finals are just around the corner. That's going to be an exciting couple of weekends that are coming in early May, so be sure to be checking out for that. And obviously more Onward games as Season 11 has just kicked off here. Really looking forward to getting more casts from some of our new casters as well. And so there's going to be a lot of action here for Season 11, that's for sure. I think that's going to be it for me, though, Noman.
Yeah, that is a pretty good synopsis of everything we've got going on in the VR Master League. If you're interested, head on over to vrmasterleague.com/onward if you want to join this league. But of course, there are plenty of other offerings there to take a look at. The overall score here is 12-3, not 10-3, as it shows up in the corner. We didn't get that scoring in time, but as we go through this highlight reel of clips, we can sign off here. So my name is Noman with a 4. I was joined today by Mr. NightFiree. And we have had a fantastic weekend Saturday bringing you all of this action. We hope you've enjoyed it. And tune in tomorrow for some more casts. But until then, that is going to do it from the casting desk. We'll let these highlights play through. And then we will see you guys next time.